think I'm set. Are you set?
I think so.
Are you good? Are you guys good at home? I'm talking directly to the audience now, breaking the fourth wall. Is it a fourth
It's
wall
collapsing.
in a podcast?
Yeah.
Because there are no walls, because it's audio.
Does visual have walls?
Yeah.
What are the
I mean, because the
walls?
fourth wall refers to like the wall of the set. That's like the stage. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because like referring to like a box set where it's like you've got stage left, stage right, and like upstage that are all like walled in. And so the fourth wall is the wall that is the audience. And so breaking the fourth wall is talking directly to them.
Yeah, like the illusionary wall that should be there, but we can see through.
Mm-hmm. It's a big thing in acting. They tell you to, when you're rehearsing at the very least, to put items along where the stage line would be, so that you can live realistically in this world. Because realistically, you have stuff along all four of your walls. Well, kind of. And so they say, like, put a dresser there, or put, like, something there to interact with, so that it feels like there's that fourth wall, even if it's not there. Just kind of an interesting thing. But, yeah, I don't know. Breaking the third ear, second ear, first ear, third eye blind.
Let's not try to break any barriers right now and just stick with the fourth wall.
Okay. I was just thinking, because there's no walls here. I mean, a person could be in their car.
They're audio walls.
They're audio walls?
They're ear
Your
walls.
ear canal walls?
Yeah, those things.
Eardrums?
We're going to erupt those. Burst them.
Burst them, bro.
Yep.
Burst in eardrums.
Break them down.
Hell yeah. What are we talking about today, Noah?
Stuff.
And what show is this?
Stuff. This is
Who
Noah
are you?
Asked. I'm Noah.
Who am I?
You're Joey, the Joey.
It's me.
It's you. And today we are talking about alcohol. Specifically, nothing. Just alcohol.
Nothing? Just alcohol?
Just alcohol.
Dude, I know a lot about alcohol.
Uh-oh.
Life has taught me a lot about alcohol.
Right? Yeah, this semester we have both reached our legal age of consuming the sweet nectar.
Yeah, all of the sweet nectar. It's not very sweet.
No.
All of my experience with alcohol is definitely in the last like 3 months.
Yeah.
For sure. That's all I've had.
Yep, and I've packed a lot of experience in.
A ton. No, I break the statistic. I drank before I was legal.
That breaks the
I break the law, not the statistic.
I was
I'm
like, you
with
probably
the
are part of it.
statistics.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it? It was like 49% of people have tried a drink at the very least. According to Pew Research, ages 12 and up, 49% of people have at least tried a drink and or continue drinking.
I feel like that's higher. I feel like I've definitely seen other ones too that have said like 60 and 70.
Oh, that's just the one I saw is like a 2015, and it's very similar to the marijuana statistic for people who've tried that.
See, I think marijuana would be a lot less just because there's that little bit of like fear, like a little more risk than what would be with the alcohol.
Yeah, because alcohol is like, despite you being underage, is still like a legal substance, whereas marijuana, I need to stop saying it.
You really do.
The weeds is
so much better, infinitely better.
Is it better to just be like, oh yeah, the weed? I've tried the pot. I do a weed. That's my favorite. It's like if people are like, oh yeah, dude, you smoke? I'm like, yeah, man, I do a weed. I'll do a weed with you. A singular. What are we talking? Like a dandelion? I'll fuck with that.
Yeah, man.
You can make jam out of those.
Is that a yellow one or is it one of those white ones that you blow on?
I think it's the yellow one. You take the flowers and you can make them into a jam.
Okay. I think I've had that one time. I think I was pretty impressed when I had it too.
I've had some weird jams. I had one that was like, it was like a weird spread made from like the milk inside of the dandelion stem. The weird like gooey stuff that when you pick them, you're just like, ew, my hands are gross now. And so somebody decided to put that on bread, and I tried it.
Good idea.
Not great. I didn't like it.
Oh, sad.
I mean, some people might. It's just not my thing. Like alcohol. Alcohol's my thing.
Oh, it is.
I am too good at drinking alcohol, I would say.
Too good at it. What does it take to be good at it? Just putting it in your body.
You put it in your body. You don't make a face.
You don't make a face.
Yeah.
Does it have to stay in your body?
Yes, it has to stay in your body. Although, as of late, like just part of growing older, I think, just is learning how to better like deal with the after effects of alcohol. For instance, I gave up about a year ago on trying to hold it in my body the whole night, because only about like maybe 40% of the time does that ever pan out where it's like it's in my body and now it's just gonna stay there. Most of the time in the morning it like comes out anyways. So I'm like, well, if I just like throw up now, then I can sleep better. My stomach's not gonna hurt. Yeah, and the next morning you just have yourself a good old brunch burger or a hangover fixer, whatever like your local diner decides to call.
Lots of grease, maybe a raw egg. I don't know.
You ever notice that like a hangover burger is literally just like things that are on the menu and we just shove them together? So it's like
you're not gonna care. You just want as much as possible.
Yeah, it's like here's a hamburger that's got chili, an egg, hash browns, ketchup, onions, and fryer grease just like poured in the middle of it. It's like, that's gonna fix your hangover. It's like, I don't know, I think food will fix my hangover. Just in general, I don't need to do that atrocity. It's like 5-layer nachos just on a burger. It's like, that's not for me.
Goodness.
It's like how everything's a bar in a college town. Like every hangover burger is also a nacho.
Just put some chips and some cheese in there and it's good.
There you go. I can make that at home for less than $12. Shut up, Ladybird Diner. Get out of here.
Get out of here. As we have both consumed alcohol, do we actually know like what alcohol is?
It is a liquid.
It is a liquid.
You put it in your body and it makes you more confident.
Maybe.
Sometimes. And it makes you sexier.
In your own eyes?
It makes me funnier.
Your own eyes?
I learn a magic trick. That's real. I don't know. There's still a magic trick. I haven't figured out how I do it. It's a card trick. What else does it do? It makes you sleepy sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know, Noah. What is alcohol?
It is a central nervous system depressant. That's what I saw.
Big words.
Big words.
Bore me.
That means it shuts down things, which should probably not be shut down entirely.
Yeah. What I have is it inhibits the function of your central nervous system.
Those are the same words, just put in a different order.
I'm reading from my paper, Noah. You guys can hear my rustling. Yeah, I have a physical pad of paper this week.
Oh, what a hipster with this notepad.
No, next week I'm gonna have a fucking scroll.
Oh damn.
The next after that I'll have cuneiform on a stone tablet. But no, so it is a chemical depressant, which means it acts very similar to tranquilizers or sedatives, which is why it makes you sleepy. But if you keep drinking a lot of it and you resist the urge to sleep, then things feel better. Except for sex, because sometimes it inhibits blood flow, which means that you get what's called whiskey dick.
Nice.
I guess this is an educational podcast, just learning it can cause erectile dysfunction.
Just temporary or permanent?
Temporary, but there are no studies that I saw that linked it to permanent erectile dysfunction. Like nothing like fully correlating. Which we're gonna have a couple things this episode that are like, oh yeah, it does this thing. Maybe.
Yeah. Someone proved it, and another person said no. So who do you?
It's always like interesting to see that. It's like, oh yeah, this case study of 360 people said yes, and this case study of 400 people said no. It's like, okay. Well, is there another one?
Both of those are kind of small. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there like another one with like 2,000 people or something like that? But yeah, no, it messes with your brain and makes you do silly things sometimes. Now, why on earth would you like that, Noah? Like, what does it do to you? Why do you drink?
Does those silly things to your brain. And like you said, it can make you confident. It can make you feel sexy and funny. Whether that's actually true or not is irrelevant, because everyone else around you thinks it too, because they're also intoxicated.
Yeah. There's this fun study I read one time. I don't have this on my scroll, so you're not going to hear it. But where going on a date with someone like to a bar or somewhere that serves drinks, and then just getting drinks together at the bar, even if it's not actually alcoholic, the placebo of that makes both of you more likely to share personal information. It's like you could literally like have water in a martini glass and just like drinking that, and then she has her own water in a martini glass or whatever. It's like if the other doesn't know that they're not drinking alcohol, they will then assume and believe anyways, and so it just kind of like lubricates, even though it's not actually doing anything.
Yeah,
it's just like the social impact of like having alcohol makes people want to share more.
I guess that's wacky.
Yeah. Do we even need alcohol to have a good time? No. Does it help?
Do we think we do?
Yes.
So we know a lot about these good and bad things of alcohol that we'll discuss maybe a little later. But like, why is it legal? It seems like you hear all the dangerous things of trying to move your notepad while not making noise.
I successfully did it, except you called me out.
No, it's just so weird to watch. Yeah, it's like known for the car accidents it causes. It's known for its heart disease and things that can happen, like long-term effects of it. So why is it, say, legal and like marijuana isn't, if they have some similar like use statistics and things like that?
So I found one blog post, because we record these very quickly after I do any research. But yeah, I found a post that listed out basically 6 reasons why they believe that alcohol is legal. And just let me know if you disagree with any of these.
All right.
So number 1 says too many people drink, and it links to that statistic from Pew Research that says 49% of people actively drink.
So you're gonna like make a lot of people angry.
Yeah.
If you ban it, which is what prohibition happened kind of thing.
Yeah, and it links to that here in the end. So it's like too many people drink, which then number 2 makes the industry too strong. So it brings in like, I think it said, I actually didn't write this down, I think it said something like $11 billion. It might be more. That seems kind of low actually. But yeah, something along those lines. An outrageous amount of currency is spread. Then number 3, it's endorsed by many religions. They have this kind of like ceremony where they drink alcohol. And so you take it away from that, then people are like, well, it's my freedom of religion to be able to do this.
And you can't give it to them and take it from everyone else.
Exactly.
Because we have freedom of religion, so it's freedom of not religion too. Yeah.
Number 4 says it's an ancient practice. And I thought this was really interesting. There is not a single moment in recorded history that does not have alcohol. It predates written history as far as we know. There is like the oldest things have some sort of ceremony like involving an elixir or of something like that, and so that can be assumed to be alcohol, which I thought was kind of interesting to think about. I was like, that is an old practice. In fact, back in medieval times and stuff, wine was consumed more than water because most of the time the alcohol content in the wine made the wine safer to drink than the water.
Yeah, I've heard that with ships and stuff, like coming to America, their grog or something that they used actually like had the lime infused into it.
Yeah, to keep them from getting scurvy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's such a weird thing to think about.
So the fact that they drank their beer-esque liquor and the French drank
their shock
wine.
top lemon brew.
Yeah, right. Yeah, since they drank their shock top and the French drank their barefoot wine, the British were actually stronger because their people didn't get scurvy as often.
Yeah, that's number 4. Number 5 is it's super easy to produce, especially like nowadays. Lots of people like just brewing their own like forms of wine in their bathtub.
Yeah, you can buy like a little $30 kit and make some. Like,
you don't need to like spend an outrageous amount of money on like a still or something to make it. Well, it's like basic alcohols and stuff. You do need it for like gin or like distilled alcohols. So then number 6 is actually what we talked about earlier, which is prohibition. Prohibition costed way too much. So it lasted 14 years. To quote a writer at the time, H.L. Mencken, he says, in the first 5 years, it did nothing except for rise against the arguments of prohibitionists. So the crime rate rose as well as the rate of insanity, is what he says. I like to kind of paraphrase. Basically, it did nothing but bad. Costed too much to enforce people to not do it. The crime rate went up, so then like police forces had to have more funding anyways and like have to deal with like all of those systems. But even like stronger, I read on 1 or 2 sites that said in the 20s and 30s the government actually tried to poison alcohol to keep people from doing it. And they still did it and killed over 10,000 people reported. Like, and that's only 2 sites that I read. I don't know how factual that is. I believe it is the thing. People like their alcohol a whole lot. So that's my 6, 7-ish kind of reasons why they believe, and I on its side of why it's legal.
So a little tangent. So that was the war on alcohol. Was very expensive, deadly, a big waste of time, seemingly.
Pretty much.
George Bush initiated the war on drugs.
Yeah.
Very similar results, I feel like. It cost a lot of money. Drug rates actually rose over the time or stayed the same. Now we're in an opioid epidemic, so that it didn't stop that part from happening anyways.
Yeah.
Is it just futile to like fight drugs and illicit substances if people are already have their hands on them?
Yeah. I don't know. You can make that argument for a lot of things where it's like, even if you try to get this away, there's still going to be people who get it anyways. Like the bad people will always have it. You hear a very similar argument for guns and gun rights. It's like, oh, if you take away guns from everyone, well, the bad guys are still going to get guns. Anyways, but this isn't the gun.
To be fair, it's not bad people. Like you could make an argument for like someone who kills people bad, but like for just like someone who just wants to feel good on a drug, they're not necessarily a bad person, and that makes them more likely to do it because they don't view themselves as a villain.
There's not a whole lot of people I feel like that actually look at themselves as like, I'm the bad guy. This is what I do.
No,
there's no like real super villains. But no, I see what you're saying. That's a really good point. Yeah, I guess my point is being like, people in cartels and drug trades are still gonna try and find a way to make a mint off of this because, well, one, if you make it illegal, all it's gonna do is drive that price up because now it's a lot higher risk to bring this drug or substance into the country or like make it in the country and distribute it. So now they're gonna like actually be incentivized to do more because it's more expensive now.
But now it's more expensive and people are less likely to buy because their dollar doesn't go as far.
But you've got a bunch of people who are hooked on it, so it almost doesn't even matter because they'll scrape and claw to get it. Which alcohol actually has some of the same effects is like that in the case of like dependency. your brain learns to like want it and crave it, which is why alcoholism is such a big deal.
Yeah. Let's talk a little more about alcoholism.
Okay.
It's kind of a odd thing because I don't think it necessarily like is linked to like very specific chemicals that I found. It's not like, oh, dopamine right there. That's the one. I did look at a study about the emotions and stuff that are elicited through alcohols and the different ones, and it showed that alcoholics claim that there's a rise of energy whenever they drink. So it's literally something to get them through the day. Same way like someone say like a cigarette revitalizes them. The same way when you're hangry and you eat something, you just feel better. And so I think alcoholism is the same way. It's like you feel low on energy, but then when you have your little source, then it just brings you back up to normal.
I've never experienced that personally. Like alcohol just kind of makes me sleepy unless I'm like at a party. Like the thing that makes me like, you know, go ham is just the fact that there's a bunch of people there and we're all socializing and everyone's like inhibitions are like lowered, so people are like willing to talk to you about things. I'm like, I'm gonna pound this like alcohol, get some like good old social stimulus and like approval because look at this kid go, look at he's chugging vodka. What an animal. I'm like, yeah. So really for me in that scenario, all that I feel is like the rush of being around people who are also having a good time. Like if I were to drink at like 3 p.m. and try to like get a pick-me-up. Now granted, I don't have a whole lot of experience with day drinking. My few experiences I have had don't leave me feeling particularly good.
No, yeah.
So
because
like,
now your body just doesn't have that thing that it thought it needed for that moment, and your body's just kind of going through like little symptoms of withdrawal.
I have to like fight myself to try and drink in the day. So I definitely
and there's a reason
that.
It's a night activity. It's because people just, you want to go to bed, and then when you wake up, you feel better.
Yeah, you
and
reset.
you kind of skip that little phase where you're just a little groggy and a little off.
So, I mean, I guess I could see, I mean, for some people, like the temporary like boost, like when it smacks you in the face, like when you take like a shot of really bad like gin or vodka or something. I mean, that's the same reason I think that energy drinks do better when they don't taste good, is because like that bitter or whatever like smack is the thing that wakes you up more than the actual sugars or anything in it. So I feel like to me it's almost placebo to do it, and then your body just gets hooked on it, and the more you believe it's helping, the worse it is, and the more your dependency grows.
Now I've always heard that different people have different effects from alcohol. Like some people will say like, oh, whiskey makes me horny and wine makes me sleepy, and like red wine makes me sad and something like that. And so you hear all these like different things, and I was curious if you've personally experienced that or anything like that.
I have experienced some of it. The thing that I've noted is like tequila is like an emotional alcohol, is the one thing that seems to correlate in my experiences. It's like, oh yeah, if my friends are drinking tequila, like they're gonna break down crying later in the night. But if my friends are drinking like whiskey, then they're going to switch over to shots pretty soon, and it's going to be a party. I've experienced like just that much. I don't exactly know why. I didn't really do research into this part of it. I've got 2 full pages. I forgot to read that part of the outline. So have you read anything about that?
Yeah. So they kind of went into detail about age, men, women, like what's the difference. And it said that women report a certain emotion increase from each kind of alcohol in every emotional category except for aggression.
Okay.
And then men overtake them in the aggression area because they, you know, have whiskey or whatever, and that makes them possibly sad or horny or something, but it most likely will make them aggressive.
Yeah, they just don't know how to deal with it. Do you think that's also a societal thing? Like, it's like, oh, this makes me sad, and I'm a man, and men aren't supposed to cry, and now I'm crying, and now I'm
so
angry.
now I'm sadder, but I can't release it. So.
Yeah. Or just like, now I'm horny, and I can't have sex with that woman over there, and now I'm just angry and wanting to reproduce.
Goodness.
They don't know how to deal with that kind of thing. So do you think it could be like related to maybe not knowing how to handle those things?
Yeah, that they might equally be feeling the emotions but just can't express them in a certain way. Yeah, I definitely could see where that would be true.
Yeah, I feel like our society definitely puts women in this area where it's like okay to be emotional. I talked to like a bunch of my female friends, and they're like all talking about like what they're scared of and what makes them cry, and like, oh yeah, I cried this morning for 20 minutes while I like tried to do my makeup, and now I'm having a great day. It's like, really, if I cry in the morning, my day is done. Like, it's over. I don't have anything else in me. It's exhausting because I've been holding in that cry for 4 years, and now I'm just like, now I want to drink. But alcohol dependency, in my mind, it kind of makes sense, like having that. reaction to things purely because society says you have to like quote unquote be a man.
And then so there's the gender difference of like how that could make you feel, and then there's the different kind of alcohols can also make you feel different. This study specifically separates wine and beer into a category, the low level alcohols, and then spirits, you know, vodkas, whiskeys, gins that have a high percentage of alcohol. And it was saying that when having beer and wine, relaxation is a common thing that's reported, whereas with the spirits it's the aggression, the sadness, the anger, but at the same time they also have more happy emotions too, so they just have greater emotional effects. They'll report the energy, the confidence, the sexiness.
Yeah,
So-
no one's like saying they get more energy from doing like it's like, oh yeah, I just need my midday beer.
Yeah, that'll really get me going. No.
Yeah, no, I think I can see that. I think it's kind of like the rate at which you're ingesting it really helps.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot because of the percentages, not so much because of like what they are, like how they're produced.
Yeah, no, I think it's like what's in it as well. Like you think about like a beer or a wine, it's got a lot of filler in there. You're not just drinking 8% alcohol, you know, just whatever. It's not like a shot like that. You're also drinking just like a lot of heavy stuff if you're drinking some beers. It's like I feel pretty sleepy after like 2 beers. I'm like, oh, ooh. That's why usually if I'm going out to drink, I'll start with, you know, the harder stuff like my spirits, and then you go to beer. 1, because it's cheaper. 2, because it's like, oh, I'm already at this place and now I just need to like maintain this plateau until the end of the night when it swoops down. So yeah, I think that has a good correlation there, just being less aggressive and less emotional because you have less alcohol in you essentially.
Yeah, so is there like a point where it's like, oh, I feel buzzed but like my inhibitions aren't completely gone, and then there's like another tier where it's like, okay, if I have 3 of these, then I'm gonna be at a place where something's gonna come out, whether it's good or bad or
Yeah, and it has a lot to do with like the rate at which you consume it too. Like if I just have like 1 beer and I have like a beer every like 45 minutes or so, like I'm just gonna be like at that tipsy place where it's like, oh yeah, you know, I'm like maybe not feeling super like anything, and sometimes not even anything at all, because it depends on like how big you are, like with what is that, your like blood alcohol content, and so that has a lot to do with it, like the percentage of it in your body and whatnot.
Alcohol can like cause these emotions. Have you ever gone in drinking with these emotions, trying to suppress them or move past them?
Yes, I have. It is not healthy.
No.
I mean, that's kind of like what I said before, you know, just like I cry at the beginning of the day. It's like, well, you know, maybe I will have a drink, just see if it makes me feel a little better. I think for the most part, I'm kind of a happy drunk. Like I'm not usually like the crying in the bathtub type. It's just like, oh yeah, when I'm drinking, normally I'm being social. I don't do a lot of drinking alone, mostly because like that feels like all alcoholic behavior to me.
Right.
It's like,
it's almost like the social stigma of, yeah, I just drank alone. Like it's like going to the movies alone. It's just like seems kind of weird, even if it's not necessarily any worse.
Yeah, a little bit of that, but also, yeah, I think it's mostly that actually. Like I don't drink alone just because I like to be in that place with other people. And like, of course, on top of that, if I say I drink alone, it does sound like, oh, you have a problem. But yeah, no, I've definitely like been at like the end of a relationship before, like breaking up with someone, and then like that night, that's actually how I got into drinking.
That is not a good thing.
Yeah, no, it's a great introduction. I'll tell the full story sometime, but like, yeah, no, I was at the end of a relationship and things were going real rough, and so up to that point I had been a sober little good boy. Hadn't even like actually even drank alcohol at all, and then the partier was born. So yeah, I drank and I definitely felt better, but it was very temporary. It's like, you know, I feel better for that like night until I pass out, and then I wake up the next day
and then you're hungover and sad.
Well, I mean, I was kind of young. I had like that young liver working hard. You don't get hangovers at first. People don't really tell you that, because I think every like freshman feels like they're like a god when they go in and they're like, they wake up the next morning, they're like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then all of like their friends who supplied them with the alcohol, like, ugh, I have a headache, and they like had like 2 wines or whatever. My theory behind that is like, you're just younger and your body is better at processing it, and then you get older and then it's like, oh hey, we're less efficient and run down because you drank so much before when you thought you were invincible. But yeah, I've gone in that place. I don't necessarily recommend it. I do have some good memories and good things learned. It's a good way to get like that good old street learning.
Yeah.
But I don't know, have you ever done anything of that sort, like gone into drinking in an emotional state?
No, I haven't. Yeah, I have only ever drank moderately and socially. I guess moderately is a relative term. I've never like been blackout drunk, but
Gotcha.
I definitely have my fill. So yeah, no, don't think I've ever felt like a different kind of emotion other than just, oh, I am less inhibited. I'm a little more confident. I can't walk quite as straight. Like, the little things.
Yeah. The little things, hashtag just girly things, little things he does.
You gotta appreciate the little things, like just being a little drunk.
Yeah, like being tipsy, slurring your words, all the things that come with inhibiting your frontal lobe.
Yeah, Apples to Apples being a lot funnier now.
Oh my gosh, it's so much better.
Man, I thought the game was fun when I was like 10, but now I'm like, oh, geez.
And then they came out with Cards Against Humanity, which is just like adult Apples to Apples. I'm just like, I don't know how they didn't sue. They're like, whatever. And like Apples to Apples, like, but that's our game. They literally have like an adult version of Apples to Apples too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's like a
Apples to Apples Extreme.
I think it's just called Apples to Apples Adult.
Oh, that's lame.
But yeah, no, it's alcohol has lots of effects on your body.
Sure.
Should we transition and talk about like the benefits?
Sure. Yeah.
Or is that next on the outline? I don't have it in front of me. I don't know.
Yeah, no, we can definitely talk about that. So yeah, we all have like our emotional states and stuff, but like, what is it actually doing to your body? And so, do you know anything about these benefits?
I have a whole page here
Well,
on my scroll. Let me whip
you do
that out.
write pretty big, so
Yeah.
it's like
I have, it's mostly just so everyone can understand it, also including me. But I have a few different studies here on like, and just like a general list of like benefits. And so just some of the benefits are, they say that it can lower your risk of cardiovascular disease, as well as raising your libido, preventing colds, lowering your chance of diabetes, lowering your risk of stroke, decreasing your risk of dementia, and even like lengthening your life. So starting up at the top here, we've got like Harvard did a research that said moderate amounts of alcohol raises your levels of high density lipoprotein, which leads to good cholesterol. And that's their argument for saying that it lowers your risk of cardiovascular disease.
So your blood doesn't clot, it doesn't like create little holes in your arteries, clots in your arteries and things
it doesn't
that.
like build up plaque. But that's with moderate amounts. So moderate is like seems like a really general term, but it's actually very specific. So a moderate amount is 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, or 1.5 ounces of spirits.
Okay.
So that's about one shot.
So just like one standard drink for each of them.
Yeah.
Each of the categories.
Well, wine is a little bit funky because they say like one glass of wine, and you think of a glass of wine, you're like, oh, that's a fair amount, like that, like goblet. What they really mean is like that little tiny, like about 1.5 inches up from the bottom of the glass full. But yeah, what I was seeing was that wine, the 5 ounces, is about like an infant bottle.
Okay.
Like just like the really small ones. And then 12 ounces of beer is about a beer. So like that's not a whole lot. And they say that you should only have that like a couple times a day, if even that. And so the next one I have, like using that same like increment, is the one that says that it lengthens your life by 18%.
That seems wrong to me because you think of like car accidents, liver disease, cancers and stuff.
I think they're just saying like physical health, not like that, but also it says small amounts.
Yeah.
So you have like a really small amount of wine, preferably red, with your meals. But then this study was done with people who had like a very strict like Mediterranean kind of diet. So it's like lots of fish and vegetables and that kind of stuff. And then it says have no wine, very specifically, none the rest of the day. And then this one that I thought was like just really crazy is it prevents the modern cold, is their claim. And so they said 14 glasses of wine a week, based on a study in 1993 of 367 people, had found that people who drank that much versus people who didn't drink at all had a 60% reduction of getting the cold.
See, I could see why that would be true. This is not like from a study or anything, but just like my common like bringing things together and how alcohol can reduce stress. Stress produces cortisol. Cortisol shuts down lots of bodily functions like your immune system. So if you're reducing your stress, you're reducing your chance of getting the common cold.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's crazy. Like to think, yes, it's an effect, but it's not maybe like directly linked to it. And I think we're seeing that with a lot of like these like benefits of it. Is like, oh yeah, it lowers your blood pressure, which means you're less likely to have a stroke, which means you're less likely to have like these other conditions, and you're not going to have as much like heart muscle damage because you're going to be more chill. So it's like, yes, alcohol does this, but it also has like these other effects on your body. The whole thing relates back to, most of them specifically note red wine. And do you have anything about like why red wine?
I know that it would be because it's made of fruit, and then certain fruits have different antioxidants and things like that in it. I don't know if there's a specific chemical or something.
It's called resveratrol. Yeah, sure, there like that. Basically, it's something that can be found in blueberries, grapes, mulberries, and even peanuts. It's a chemical that's produced when the fruit or plant thinks it's under attack from bacterial
Which
invasion.
is the fermentation process?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it believes it's under attack, so it releases this chemical, which is essentially in itself, because it fights bacterial and pathological invasions. It is essentially an antioxidant, and so people think that this makes things better. But then looking further into like this specific chemical and like why it makes red wine like healthier, there's no definitive relationship between that and actual health benefits.
I was watching your research and you typed in resveratrol. Literally, like you clicked on like Wikipedia or something, and the first thing was like, there is no conclusive studies.
Yeah.
Like whatever we're about to say cannot be guaranteed.
Yeah. So. I think it was like it explained what it was, and then like immediately under like, these are the facts about what it is, the specific chemical makeup and whatever. Right under that, it was like, yeah, no definitive results, and then moved on to the rest of like the study. I was like, wow, that's kind of interesting. It's like could just also be another one of those like placebo things. Like we believe that this red wine is better, and thus it will be. And I think there's a lot of examples of that history with like witch doctors and what have you, where they do this ritual and have this whole like show that makes the person believe they're going to get better. And a lot of times they do, even in, I believe it was you that told me about the study.
Yeah, there was a study done. You can listen to a podcast called Science Versus by Gimlet Media. They talk extensively about it. But there was a study where they gave people placebos, and then they told some of the people that they gave them a placebo. So the fact that they're getting a placebo and they know they have a placebo, so literally they're just taking a sugar pill, and a woman with irritable bowel syndrome got better. And there's no solution right now, no medicine for irritable bowel syndrome. And she tried all the different things on the market. She said even though she knew she was getting a placebo, something worked and it got better. I mean, so it's merely the ritual and the process of taking it that might have made her better.
What if like the cure for irritable bowel syndrome was just sugar pills?
It was the whole time.
Like
it's
the
just
whole
sugar,
time.
But it has to be concentrated into pill form.
It's just like specifically like that specific like shape or whatever. It just like fills in the holes in your bowels or whatever like that.
Goodness. No.
But yeah, no, it's just wild like what the human imagination can do for the body, not just like actual chemical benefits.
Definitely. So we've named off some of these benefits, like most of it's blood related and heart related, that like reducing stroke and heart disease and stuff.
Oh, also diabetes. Sorry,
diabetes.
I forgot to mention that.
And people have wanted alcohol to be good for you for eternity, I'm sure. They're like, man, if I can drink this thing that makes me feel good and it's better for me. Like, so you can see where scientists may have imagined results and things like that. I listened to another podcast, also the Science Versus, and they quote their sources very well. So I recommend it to anyone.
After this podcast, of course.
Yes. No, do not stop this podcast. Yeah. A man named Tim Stockwell, a professor of psychology in Alberta, he looked at other people's studies on the fact that moderate drinks can reduce heart-related disease. And he noticed a statistic that showed a lot of these studies used alcohol drinkers versus non-alcohol drinkers. And when you look closer at who the non-alcohol drinkers are, it's these people called sick quitters. And the sick quitters are people who probably at one point drinked pretty heavily, but now are required not to drink by a doctor because of their health purposes. So when they're looking at studies showing these people who don't drink are still getting heart attacks, it's because usually they're older, sicker, and at one point possibly drank very heavily and their organs are damaged because of it.
I feel like you should screen for that kind of stuff when you're like looking for like.
But if you're looking for certain results, and let's say big alcohol is pushing for like good results and stuff.
Big alcohol. Sorry,
I just say that.
Funny.
There's big pharma, there's big whatever. I just assume that every company has a big, and it's just like they're forcing the government to do things.
I mean, it's not a wrong assumption. You know, a lot of industries do. But yeah, I just thought it was funny. But yeah, that makes sense.
And then so they screened out a bunch of these studies that just picked anyone who was a non-alcohol drinker. They figured out which ones actually screened for the sick quitters, and that the results were way less impactful, like almost non-existent.
Oh, wow.
So it really makes that argument like kind of go down the drain. And so
it's like, yeah, alcohol could just be bad for you.
Yeah. Because we do have a lot of negative effects. We've named off some good ones that may or may not be true.
Yeah.
But there are some very true ones that you have written down here. Do you want to share those with us?
Yeah, I would love to. Strap in because there's
it's about to be the end of a depression medication commercial where it's like, whatever. They just like list all the terrible things.
Whatever. So just to like really like dial this in here. So all it takes to be considered like a heavy drinker, according to Mayo Clinic and like their generalized results and everything, is more than 4 drinks a day or 14 drinks a week. So pretty much what the other study was suggesting is still considered heavy drinking by like medical standards.
You said 4 drinks a day or 4 drinks a week?
4 drinks a day or 14 drinks a week.
Okay.
Like, so like not like specifically per day, but like more than 4 drinks in one day. Like you can have less than 14, but like if you do that like every day, then it's bad. Of course.
And the moderate drinking studies were saying that you should only have 1 a day, maybe.
Yeah, and then one of them was saying, I think specifically said, 14 glasses of wine a week for the preventative cold.
Okay, so that's considered heavy drinking at that point, right at the bottom threshold of heavy drinking.
And of course, that's for people less than or equal to 65, roughly. But yeah, if you do heavy drinking, then it can lead to risks such as cancer, all breast, throat, esophagus, and liver.
Just your entire torso kind of thing.
Who needs those? Pancreatitis, cardiovascular disease, heart muscle failure, stroke, high blood pressure, liver disease, suicide, brain damage, fetal alcohol syndrome, and then prone to accidents. And then other studies I read said that, frontal lobe damage can cause diarrhea, infertility, and osteoporosis, which is thinning of the bones, which I had actually never heard of, like that being linked to that. And I did a little bit more research, and basically what happens is alcohol interferes with your body's ability to balance calcium. And so because of that, not enough calcium is going to your bones. And I don't know exactly how it interacts with that. I didn't get quite that deep into it. But yeah, that's like a lot of things. It's like bones, heart, pancreas, liver,
and something
brain.
we kind of glossed over was accidents, which is huge. Like we have all heard the car accident statistic.
Yeah.
I think I saw that 1/3 of car accidents are alcohol related.
That would not surprise me at all.
I did not look up the source of that number, but
come on, Noah, we're an educational podcast.
Yeah, that is a large amount. Another statistic I saw was 44% of hospital beds are being filled by people who have alcohol related damage to their body. So that is a lot.
I mean that's especially if you look at my statistic from 2015 where it's saying 49% of people drink alcohol. So it's like that's a lot of people just going into the hospital eventually if they continue like their quote unquote heavy drinking. That's a lot of bad considering like the goods and how the goods are maybe mostly skewed. And
and a lot of like intangible things, like emotional things that it's like, oh, I'm more confident. And things like that.
I'm more confident. Or maybe I won't get the cold this year.
I feel sexy, but my liver doesn't work.
What's the Rick and Morty quote? This reminded me. It was like, that's the hardest working liver in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Now it's got a hole in it. Your body just purely was not meant to process this specific set of chemicals.
Because your liver can process the alcohol, but it can do it very slowly. So in the meantime, it's just hanging out in your blood, going throughout your entire nervous system, affecting everything a little bit.
And so it's bad.
It's bad.
It's not good. You shouldn't do it. Knowing this, Noah, are you still going to drink?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Because I also won't stop. Why? Because it feels good and because socially it's accepted.
Yeah, and you can tell yourself, whether it's true or not, that like you don't drink that much. Like and I don't feel like I do, and it'll be a very short period in my life that I am drinking. So
especially
I feel
the more
like,
you drink.
Because then it'll be a higher percentage but a little shorter amount of years. But yeah, that's kind of where I wanted to end, was talking about how does your perception of alcohol change as you grow older.
I think like even now, and like I've been drinking for like about 3 years, and I say that there was a stint in there where like I just gave up drinking for like I want to say like 4 months, and it's crazy. I lost like at least like 10 pounds just like cutting out alcohol and soda from like my diet. So yeah, that stuff just like chills out in your body. I think as you get older, it's just like, depending on your personality, of course, you just kind of realize you don't super need it. Like it becomes a social lubricant more and less of like, I need this to party and have fun. So now, having like my quote unquote 3 years of experience, I'm less likely to seek out a party every night of the week, and more likely to just like chill at home and have a couple drinks and play Mario Party.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up because I feel like when I was younger, like alcohol is something that's like praised and glorified, and like you're almost encouraged to do it. Like, oh, go seek out a party. You're not fun if you don't do it during high school and things like that. And you realize like as you get older, you're like, I don't need this. It's kind of bad for me. It's really bad for me actually, and it doesn't bring a whole lot of benefits. And as I look to people older than me, my brother who's 5 years older than me, like he only drinks at very like special occasions, like weddings and like maybe big family get-togethers. And I think I like asked, I was like, does your brother drink? And he's like, no, he's 27. Like obviously he doesn't drink a whole lot because he's not young in a partier. And it's like, oh, because the social stigma is as you get older, you probably shouldn't be a partier as much because that's not mature.
Yeah, you have to grow up at some point, which makes me want to drink more. because
I don't want to grow up. I want to
Yeah.
be a child who breaks the law.
Yeah, I'm just like, fuck you, as I throw a beer bottle at a cop. Yeah, growing up sucks because you can't do a lot of things. And yeah, you do have to, I mean, part of it is, drinking less if you want to be reasonable. Because, like, I feel like, so you look at your brother, and your brother's, like, a really interesting example because he's also, like, a specimen of a man. So, like, he's in good shape. But then you look at, like someone else who just is about the same age but drinks. It's like, oh, you're a lot more pudgy, and like you just look a little older. It's like your body is spending so much time on like other resources, like keeping your liver alive. It doesn't bother to like deal with sleep or your brain function or how your body like stores fats
and that's one of the problems with like the lower percentage alcohols is because like people might still drink to get the same amount of intoxicated, but they have so much more that comes with them, and there's a lot of calories in beer and a lot of sugar and wines, and
like
those things are just bad for you as well.
A beer belly is just like specifically like those like carbs that you get from drinking those like empty things. So in a sense, is as far as like weight goes, I'm not saying that it's like healthier, but if you want to be hotter and not have a beer belly, it's better to just drink vodka.
There you go. Words to live by.
Yeah, just drink vodka. Joey Moreno, 2019.
So, in conclusion, alcohol is the third deadliest lifestyle cause of death. So, just something to think about. You can still do it, but just know the effects and the consequences and be cognizant of the stuff around you.
Be safe.
Yeah.
What is it? It's like consume responsibly.
Yeah.
And that's all we're asking of you guys.
Yeah, that's all we're asking of ourselves, too. So like, we can't force anything more upon you.
Yeah, no, we'll just do like a couple more drunk live streams and just drink way too much, and the live stream will end in 40 minutes. And,
and then it'll be deleted instantly.
No, I think they're still up somewhere. Maybe.
Hidden.
Hidden. You guys have to go through like, I set up this 14-part puzzle. You guys can find it. But you guys can also find us.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Anywhere you listen to podcasts. Email us, humorish.tm@gmail.com. If you guys want to hear a specific subject, be conversed about for a little bit, do a little bit of research. And you can find us on Twitter at humorish_TM. And that's all the places to find us.
Yep. Give us a like, show us your love, tell us something that we don't know. Talk to you next week.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Another good one.
Hey.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to this Humorish podcast. If you liked it, check out our other content. You can email your topic suggestions to humorish.tm@gmail.com. You can also find us on YouTube or on Twitter at humorish_TM or use the hashtag NoahAsked. The podcast music was Watercolors by Vic DeVee.